Hello, guys. We're back with Prince and Roxy today. So they were having issues with Prince attacking Roxy whenever she was on the couch and he wanted on the couch, or for instance, shh, out, thank you. Or for instance, he was on the couch and she was trying to get on the couch. He would get territorial of the couch and became very reactive after their third dog passed away. Apparently, when the third dog was here, they didn't have these issues. The third dog corrected Prince, I guess. Is that that's what they said. They said that the other dog was constantly on him, always around him, and stopping his behavior, and they just didn't know it until after that dog had passed away. Dog passed away and he started messing with Roxy. She's a very, I would say, energetic and erratic dog. She's and, running around and very anxious, and he doesn't seem to be that way as much, and so I think he's trying to stop her is what it seems like. But she doesn't want to be stopped, and then it becomes a dog fight, and we don't want that. It can be very, very bad. Even though they're little dogs, they can cause blood, they can cause wounds, and it's just not fun to deal with. These guys are very adamant about getting each other, so it's very vicious sounding. They've already shown me this behavior. He showed it to me more with the cats. He didn't have an issue too much, but she has shown it to me at him when he's come up onto this couch. It's kind of interesting because I did it on this little couch right over here, and I brought him up and on it, and she was sitting on it. I'd have him on it. I brought her on it. She didn't show me any kind of reaction. And then I had a friend come over and we got him more excited, and she was working with a different dog and she got a little bit of reactive. So I actually saw it for the first time with her towards the two. And then the same with this couch. The first time I saw the reaction was with her. She was being reactive towards him, but it was out of fear. Come on, Prince. Because he was attacking her. And so she got to the point where she felt like she needed to attack him. And I don't know if you can see it, but she's shaking over here. She actually started shaking even more when I brought him up to the couch because she's uncomfortable. And even talking like this can make her feel like it's a reward almost to her. So you want to just ignore the dog when they're in this state of mind. If you can't bounce them out of it, pop them out of that state of mind within the first few seconds, then you want to just ignore them. And by that I mean if they start to get anxious or scared like this, and you go, good girl, come on, and they get, okay, happy, and they kind of snap out of it, then awesome, you can start rewarding them, because now you're rewarding that excitement and that more fun personality. But if you start to talk to them and they stay fearful and they stay just, then you can't keep talking to them, because if you continue talking to them, you're actually rewarding them, and then they're going to think, okay, this is what they want me to be. They want me to behave like this. And it can be really hard for a lot of people to just ignore their dog when they feel like their dog needs help and their dog needs to do their comfort. But truth is, dogs aren't like humans, and they don't need our comfort in that way. You got to think of it like dog training. When you train your dog to sit, you tell them good boy and you reward them. And that's the same thing you're doing when they're in this behavior, and you talk to them and you say it's okay. You're rewarding that behavior. So best thing to do is just kind of ignore it, and as they feel more comfortable, you can start giving them treats, because treats are a great tool. So with her, I'm building her positive association with this activity using treats. But I can only do it when she's in a more relaxed state of mind. Because right now, she probably won't take one. Hey, girl. See, as you can see, she's not having it. She doesn't want to have a treat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop a treat right there. And if she wants to eat it, she can. Prince. Yes. Good boy. There you go. I feel like he has a hard time finding where it's at in my head. Good boy. Good job. Did you drop it? Good boy. Yeah. Good job, buddy. Good boy. So the way to help this situation, now that she's been attacked so much, we need to start building her confidence up and getting a positive association with this by using treats and love when she's in the right state of mind. So we can't give her a bunch of love right now. We can't pet her right now because we're just rewarding this state of mind. What we have to do is just let her be, let her go through those emotions just like we have to do it when we're going through things. We got to just let her figure it out. And we're going to just focus on him and get him to focus on us, get more communication between the two of us, so that way I can better control him if she gets reactive out of fear. Because that's the best way we can help her right now, is to control him and keep him from reacting towards her, make sure that he understands that he cannot attack her. And if he tries to attack her, we're going to use tools such as the prong collar. We've got this little plastic prong collar on him at the moment that his owners got him, and we've got this e-collar that the owners also got him. It was not paired to the collar or the remote, and they tried to use it to stop this behavior and it didn't work. Well, it wasn't paired to the controller, so it wasn't even doing anything. But they didn't do it right, because the best way to do it is to condition your dog to the collar as a marker first, and then put them in that situation. That way they understand what it means, and they don't associate the dog that they may be getting reactive to with that collar. So the best way is to put it on first, work with your dog a bit, get them to understand what you are asking them, and that the collar is to tell them to stop that behavior, and then put them in that situation where they might get reactive towards their pack mate, and you can use it effectively, and they're going to go, oh, that means I'm doing the wrong behavior, and they're going to stop. And then you can focus on, say, the other one that might be instigating it at this point. So then once he's under control and we've got that communication with him, then we can start focusing on her more, getting her confidence up more. And the more we just work with him around her, the more confidence she's going to have, because she's going to see that, hey, he's not attacking me. You know, I've been doing these exercises a lot, and I've gotten it to the point where she is able to eat right next to him, and she can do things around him. She did have an incident just recently where she got reactive towards him, and we had to calm them both down. And now we're just resetting the situation, going right back into it. And she shows me time and time again that her trigger is him getting on the couch. You know, the minute I got him on the couch, she started shaking. She was already a little uncomfortable because she hasn't been taken out much. So when she got dropped off here, this was a completely new environment, a completely new person. So she was unsure. She was like, what the heck? Where am I? Who is this? What's going on? So I didn't want to correct her. I didn't want to do anything to her to make her feel more fearful. So I didn't really do any kind of corrections with her at all. I didn't know every once in a while, but I wasn't even really talking to her. I was talking to another dog, and I could see that me approaching that other dog would cause her to be fearful. She'd be like, oh, she'd step away from me. She didn't want me to approach her. So I was like, okay, I can't correct this dog right now, because that's going to cause her to be more fearful of me, and I don't want that. So what I did with her is I started just feeding her, and I would just play with my dogs and play with the other dogs that were confident and comfortable with me. And then she saw, oh, okay, he's not going to hurt me. He's not hurting these other little dogs. And so she started coming up to me and jumping on me because she saw me playing with my palms and having my palms jump. And that was how I built her trust with me. And once I did that, then I started working more in these situations where I might have to correct her, because I didn't want her to feel like, oh my God, who is this random person having to grab me and stop me from this behavior that she feels she has to do because this dog's going to attack her. You know, and so that's the best thing to do for a fearful dog, is to get a bond with them so that they trust you before you do any kind of work like this. The best thing is to start with that positive Reinformation. Oh my gosh. Positive. Yes. Good girl. Yeah. Positive reinforcement. Yes, you good girl. Because we want to build a positive association with us. So that way, when she thinks of me and a new person in the future, she's going to think food. She's going to think treats. She's going to think love. Because I brought a lot of positive association with me when she first met me. So she has been a very slow start. And I don't blame her. It's okay. She's a really sweet dog, and I've actually seen a lot worse. She's a good girl. You can still see she's still a little unsure, but she's not shaking anymore. And so I am trying to give her a little bit of reaffirmation that this is good behavior. I feel like that was the wrong word. She's a really sweet dog, though. And I know that this guy is the one that really caused this because he attacked her. And he made her feel like, oh my gosh, this is what's going to happen. And so if you get a dog like this that starts doing that because you maybe rescued the dog, you don't know their past, and they're shutting down and they're doing these kind of behaviors to your new dog or your dogs in the house, don't just blame that dog, because maybe in the past she had a dog attack them. And now, oh, I feel like I have to defend myself. So you got to give them time, and you got to communicate to them effectively that that behavior is not acceptable. And then you need to build up their confidence. That way they don't feel like they need to do that. And then they can trust you to protect them. Because if a dog's going to get reactive, you're going to shut that down, and you're not going to let them do that to them. You're not going to let them hurt them. Then they're going to feel safe with you and trust that you're going to prevent them from getting attacked. And you can build up their confidence that way as well. With her, that's all you really need to do, is we need to just build up her confidence. And then whenever she does show us that reactivity, use our marker cues to let her know that behavior is not warranted and not accepted in the pack. And we can just focus on him and making sure that he doesn't react towards her. And as he gets better, she's going to get better as well. But at this moment, we've mainly focused on him just because we know that he was the main aggressor, and we want to make sure that his owners have good control of him and have good communication with him, because that's the biggest key is to communicate with them properly. Because if you're repeating your words too much, you're not marking correctly or timely, they're not going to understand. If you're rewarding them and then at other times you're correcting them, they're not going to understand. If you're talking to someone and they're doing a reactivity, they're getting reactive to something, and you're trying to ignore them, but you're talking sweet to another dog, you're really rewarding them. So the best way is to ignore them by completely being silent, putting them up in a different situation, and let them completely reset. Otherwise, you could inadvertently be rewarding them for situations or in situations for things you don't want them to be rewarded for. And then when you go to correct them in a situation, they're going to be like, what? I thought this was something we want. So we do have to be very conscientious when we're communicating with other dogs in the pack as well. Because reactive dogs, that's one thing with them, you've got to be on top of them all the time. Even if you've had a dog that, someone else has had for 10 years and they were reactive only when they were 2 years old or something, and they haven't shown any reactivity in the last 8 years, that dog could still reavert if they go to a new owner and that owner doesn't communicate to them properly when a situation happens, and they feel, oh my gosh, I got to start protecting myself again, or whatever that dog may think he needs to do. So it's really, really crucial to communicate with your dog properly and learn how to use these markers cues correctly to communicate with your dog when you have a reactive dog. I mean, it's important no matter what, but with a reactive dog, it's very important. Because if you can't communicate with them properly, you're never going to get the situation fixed. You're going to see other people fix it, or you're going to hire a trainer. They're going to work on the issue and be able to sit right next to both dogs, and you're going to get the dog and not be able to do it. Or you're going to try the techniques you watched, and you're going to be like, oh my God, it's not working. And then you're going to get frustrated, and that's when it goes downhill. So you got to understand to be patient, watch as many videos as you can, hire a trainer if you have to, get some hands-on help, and learn what's going on, what you might be doing wrong. There's what's great is you can make videos and show it, share it with trainers, and be like, hey, am I doing something wrong here? There's a lot of things you can do to get help and to learn where you might be going wrong in a situation. And the problem is there's a lot of different strategies and techniques. For instance, a lot of people know of was it Dog Daddy? He uses more pack-based techniques, and those techniques are something that I had studied a lot when I was younger, something I know a lot about, but it's not something that I need to use constantly or something that I would choose to use. I watch a lot of his videos and I think, there's much better ways to work with a dog like that, because there are much better ways. And I don't need to use alpha-based techniques to dominate a dog. And there's a lot of situations where I meet people and they're actually using those kind of techniques improperly, and it's very bad for a dog. Just like it's bad when you use positive reinforcement wrong and you reward the wrong behaviors, and then suddenly the dog's getting worse and worse and you don't understand why. But you're actually rewarding it in a different situation and then correcting it in maybe a set exercise you're doing, and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? But you're really rewarding the dog at a wrong time. So it really just depends on how you do or how you use that technique and which dog needs a certain technique. Because some dogs are very dominant, but most dogs, it's not the case. Most dogs, they just don't understand what people are asking of them, and the people aren't communicating with them properly, because it always comes back to that. People typically aren't communicating to their dog effectively, and the dog doesn't understand what that human or what that person wants. So we got to learn how to communicate with them effectively, and that's why balance-based strategy works really well. When you learn how to use those 4 quadrants of opero conditioning, you can get a very, very, very good dog, and a dog that's responding to you really quickly, a dog that is very easy for you to communicate with, because you've been putting them in situations at their pace to show them what you're asking of them and what you want them to do. So I've found a lot more success with a balance-based strategy than with an alpha-based strategy. And that's why that is my main focus and what I teach these days. So that's what I've been doing with these guys. And as you can see, I can bring them up on the couch, and I'm going to make sure that the owners understand how to communicate with them, because I want them to be able to do this as well. And what I'm doing right here, anyone can do. You just have to have the right mindset and understand that dogs make mistakes. Don't come at it like, oh my gosh, something might happen. Understand that, yes, something might happen. If you adopt any dog, even if it's got a completely clean slate, any dog could bite you. Any dog could become reactive. It's a possibility, and you've just got to understand that and accept that and know that it can happen, and you just need to learn how to deal with it. And that's one thing that I did at least get a lot of when it came to watching and learning about alpha-based strategies. I learned how to deal with things. I learned that if a dog starts to fight, all I got to do is choke that dog out. It might seem harsh, but when you have 2 very powerful breeds going at it and you're alone and you've got 2 other very powerful breeds attacking each other, you do what you've got to do. And that is the best way to stop the fight, because they're going to have to breathe. They're going to let go of their bite because they're going to try to breathe. You're going to release the bite, and you're going to be able to separate them and put one dog up, calm them down, get the situation handled and stopped, and then put them back in that situation. And I also learned a lot of other things about dogs when I studied about the alpha-based strategy, because I studied pack mentality, and I studied dogs in the wild. I studied wolves in the wild, because I thought, oh, that's a cool way to work with dogs. And then as I worked with dogs more, I learned how much more fun it is to do a balance-based strategy, and just to have this knowledge of the pack mentality that dogs have is great to have in your repertoire when you see a behavior or when you see something going down, because you know what's happening, and then you can use balance-based strategies to communicate with your dog more effectively. So I definitely highly recommend a balance-based strategy for these kind of situations. Like, if you want to get your dogs to be able to sit on the same couch together, like these ones, they work, right? And the more you work on it, the better dog's gonna get. And you just gotta understand there's gonna be setbacks. Situations are gonna happen where a dog's gonna get triggered, and that dog might get reactive. And don't think of that as a bad thing. Think of that as an opportunity for you to mark that as an unwanted behavior and to tell your dog that we do not let that happen in this pack. It's not your place to attack another dog, or it's not your place to, whatever they're doing, attack a person, getting reactive towards a cat. You're telling them that's not acceptable. So think of it as an opportunity to train your dog. That's what I see it as. Whenever someone shows up and they're fearful of something happening, that's my biggest thing that I try to get them to understand is it could happen, and you've got to let that fear go. Let it flow down the river, because if you hold on to that fear, your dog's going to sense that, and you don't want to live in that kind of fear. Just accept it. Accept that things could happen. Things could go wrong, and you just might have to deal with it. And if you learn to do that, you'll feel so much more comfortable, so much more confident when you're working with a dog. Next thing you know, you won't even think of it. Personally, I never think of it. You know, people bring things up and it's just like, okay, yeah, that's true. But you know, I don't, to me, I don't think of the dog, even if it's got bite history, as the dog might bite me right now, or the dog might do this. I don't think about it. It's just, if it happens, I'm going to react, and I'm going to stop that dog from doing what it's doing. And if a dog does have a certain amount of history, I might use things like a glove, just because I know, hey, this dog does have a high bite chance, a high risk to bite me, so I'm going to wear a glove. But I'm not going to, in my head, think this dog's going to bite me. I'm just going to be prepared for in case the dog bites me. Or I'm going to get that dog muzzle trained, because I'm going to know if the dog's muzzled, well, he can't bite someone. And then I can start building that positive association up with whatever the dog's getting triggered with. Because the biggest thing is for us to find that root cause of the symptom. The symptom is the reactivity. You know, they're doing that because of fear. So the fear is that root cause. You know, that's the issue. That's the diagnosis. We've got to fix the fear to fix the symptom of the reaction.